with Dr. John C. Hawk, Jr., who served as president of the South Carolina Medical Association in the years 1978 and 79. And this interview is being conducted in Charleston at Dr. Hawk's home on October 11, 1992, by Dr. Laurie Brown, an anesthesiologist, and Ms. Monya Green, physical therapy student at the Medical University. And first thing I'm going to ask you, Dr. Hawk, is where were you born?
Well, I was born in Glade Spring, Virginia. I used to lord that over my sisters because I said they couldn't be president. I was born in the States, and they were both born in China.
Yeah.
And that was a long time ago, as a matter of fact. I was born way back in, I don't even remember, 1918, yeah.
1918.
Okay.
And your parents were?
They were missionaries in China. They were home on furlough. Dad and mother had been over in China since 1905, and so that's quite a long time ago. And I had lived in China. I went back and lived in China again. I lived in China not before I was born. They did.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we went back and lived in China. So my earliest real memories are of China.
All right. Well, where did you? How old were you when you came back to this country? And where did you go to college then?
Well, you know, I went to high school over in China.
Yeah.
And 1 year of college over there at a place called St. John's University, which was a very interesting experience. But I came back here after 1 year and went to college at Emory and Henry College in Southwest Virginia. And I had 1 year before I went there for just 3 years.
And are those professors having a real profound influence on you, or did you just get through college?
I don't remember my professors. Well, I remember some of them at Emory a good deal. I guess I probably remember the ones that I had in China a little bit more. One lady who really worked the socks off of history, and a few other that worked, and one guy one doctor, he was not an MD. Well, one person who influenced me a great deal, got me interested in history, and also in science, I guess, more than anyone else.
Well then, had you decided to become a doctor, or do you remember any particular way you went?
Remember that in high school, I hadn't decided what I was going to do. And I went to St. John's University over in Shanghai the first year. And somehow or other, I got interested in medicine at that time. When I came back to the States, kept on in college, I was sort of determined to go to medical school when I got out of college.
And where did you go to medical school?
I went to school at the University in Charlottesville, and Nancy and I lived up there at the time. I met her up there at Charlottesville.
At Charlottesville. And how about your internship and residency?
Well, I had my internship up at Rochester, New York, which was nearly froze to death up there. Had a great time. Learned a lot, saw a lot of people, and then came back and went to my residency at the University of Virginia at Charlottesville, and had 1 year up at Memorial Hospital for cancer in New York City. Nancy and I took 3 kids up there. That was a sort of tough chore at the time, but it was worth every minute of it.
Now, who is this Nancy lady you were talking about?
Well, that's my wife.
You met her.
Her name was Nancy Dinwiddie, and she and I have been married for a little over 50 years, 51, and we have 9 kids, and at last count, I think 20 22 or 23 grandchildren. 22 that are our own, and one that we sort of inherited by Jimmy marrying a girl who already had a daughter.
All right, so, well, that's a nice family.
That's a big
Nice family. Now, where did you go into practice? Well, first let me ask you, it wasn't hard to decide on surgery, you said. You just
Well,
decided.
not too hard. I was just sort of, there's no particular reason, I guess, but I worked into surgery and I wanted to go into surgery, and so I did. And I had to, after, you know, I was in the service for 3 years before I got started in my residency. I'd had an internship in medicine. I'd already decided to go into surgery, but I had decided somewhere along the line that if you were going to be a good surgeon, you had to know a little medicine. So I decided to go through a medical internship. And when I came back, I went to the surgical internship, surgical residency at Charlottesville. But I had to wait a year to get in because the residency was full. And so I did something that was one of the best things I ever did, and that was to take a whole year of pathology. And as you found out a little bit, I know a little pathology.
No little pathology.
I could argue with the pathology.
And you did, I might add.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how did you decide where you were going to practice?
Well, I guess I have to give credit for that to Hank Mayo, who had been the chief resident ahead of me at Charlottesville. And he and I were not always on the greatest of terms. He and I could argue about everything under the sun. But he called me up and he said, "Wouldn't you like to come down? They need somebody to run the cancer clinic down here. Would you like to come down and be interviewed for that?" And that's how what got me down to Charleston. So I guess I have to credit Hank Mayo for getting me down here.
Now that,
You remember Hank?
oh yes, sure, I remember.
Okay.
He, like you, was one of my teachers, my professors. Now you think that medicine has been pretty rewarding for you over these years?
I think there's no question about
No
that.
question.
You know, if I had to do over again, I would change a few things here and there. I would not change having gotten the experience in cancer, which I did primarily up at New York as a fellow at Memorial Hospital. And there are a few things I would change along the line, naturally. I would work a little harder on a few things. Go ahead.
I might make a comment. I don't see how you could work much harder in anything, really.
No, I could have.
Well now, John, I will ask you about, quote, organized medicine. I'm never fond of that term, but anyway, how did you get involved at first?
Well, I was thinking about that and trying to wonder how I really got into all this. First of all, as soon as I came to Charleston, I decided to go ahead and join the medical society. I mean, you should. Every doctor should join the county medical society. So I joined the county medical society, which at that time was called the Medical Society of South Carolina, and it was at Roper Hospital. First year that I was here, or maybe towards the beginning of the second year, was when the Medical Society of South Carolina, which controlled Roper Hospital, separated, and the Charleston County Medical Society was formed. And I just got into it and gave a paper to the Medical Society meetings and went to all the meetings, and first thing I know, about I was asked if I wanted to be president-elect. The nominating committee sort of got me, and after that I was hooked. I was into organized medicine full blood.
And as president of the county society, you sort of became involved with the state, didn't you? State association a little bit?
Yeah, back in and 66, when Medicare was coming along, which was a bad time, as you know, for us, and it's continued in many ways to be. Somehow or other, I've forgotten exactly how I got elected vice president of the State Association. But that got me very interested in trying to prevent us from going down the road to socialized medicine. I believe it was the summer of 65 or 66, I made 4 trips to Chicago at my own expense, while we formed what was called the Congress of County Medical Societies, which is not too active now, but we still publish a journal called Private Practice, which you know. And we've been publishing the journal now for about 19 or 20 years, which is amazing because they told us we couldn't even get started with that thing. It was hard, but we got done.
But Medicare was the biggest issue. Yeah.
Medicare was the biggest issue at that time. Looking back over some of those president pages that I wrote later when I became president of the State Association, we were just being carried down the road towards socialized medicine. President Carter was one of the biggest guys to head us that way, but we had a lot of other. We had Califano, and the names just came back to me as I read some of my president pages, but some of them I'd rather forget, you know. Wouldn't you?
Right. You're right about that. So, and as far as the State Association is concerned now,
well, back in, I was looking back to see when I was vice president, which I believe was 66. Anyhow, I was going to the State Medical Association meetings every year. The first time I went up there, I really went up there to play golf. I'm not a golfer, but I went there to play golf with Speed Martin, whom you remember very well. And we were at the state meeting, and I sort of got interested in keeping on going there. And along about 65, they asked me to be vice president, or they asked me to run for vice presidency, and I did, and I was elected. And so I kept on those 2 or 3 more years before I got to be president.
but you worked in the State Association long ago.
Oh, guess I've been there about as long as anybody.
Yeah.
Because I either getting to be an alternate delegate to the AMA was a very important thing to me, and I think it sort of shaped my life in organized medicine.
What were some of the, now while you were president, what were some of the major issues that we faced during that?
Well, interestingly enough, it's one that we have always with us, and that is whether we were going to control our own destiny or whether the government was going to control it completely, as you know. And so the question of whether we were going to have socialized medicine, and I think that's was when part of it got started with back there, despite all of our efforts, all the meetings we went to, all of the speeches we made, and everything else. We were headed on the road towards having government control. Now, we are not completely socialized in the state, but it has been a hard fight all along. It's been a delaying action, and yet we've been successful to that extent.
Right.
We are not completely, and we're really the only major nation that in the world is not. And we have the best medicine in the world because we are not socialized.
Right.
I'm sure of that.
Okay. All right.
I don't have to argue with you about that.
You need to argue with me.
back some memories. There were some things that I had forgotten, and some things that are still important, and which we still find that we can't control our own destiny because the government is getting into it more and more. Cost containment, of course, is something that has been of interest to me ever since I ran the cancer clinic. I was looking back and I asked somebody, do you all have any idea what a day in the hospital cost back in 1951? No. Nobody guessed. We paid $8.52 for everything, everything. And then I looked back a little bit further, and I looked back at what Nancy worked in the business office at the University of Virginia when I was a medical student, and the per diem for patients then was $2 a day plus $1 for laboratory work for the whole week. And you know, it's inconceivable. You can't even think about what has happened. So it just means that the dollar is not worth anything anymore. And it's not just in medicine that everything costs so much more, although it certainly is very expensive, and I think that's one of the biggest things that we have to worry about right now as far as the control of medicine is whether or not we can make medicine, medical care affordable for people. And that, unfortunately, is not controlled entirely by us. In fact, it is hardly controlled at all by the medical profession anymore. And that's one of the major concerns that we have.
Now, during your term, you also, didn't it divide the state up in the health districts or something on that order?
Yeah, they divided up, and they did some things that have been undone. I look back at some of the things that were done and undone, some things we were really concerned about are passé.
Just petered out.
It's hardly even worth mentioning. But anyhow, they did pass all the bad things passed. Some of the good things, I guess, have passed along.
Now, excuse me. What about when did you get active in the AMA?
Well, let me see. I was trying to remember.
While you were president?
Well, that was when I got active by going to the AMA meetings, but I was not an alternate delegate. I was finally elected an alternate delegate. I forgot, 68, I believe, 78.
78.
Anyhow, I was an alternate delegate and a delegate for about 20 years and in the AMA. And enjoyed going up to those meetings. We all worked hard. Everybody thinks you go up there and do nothing. That's the biggest error that you can think of, because when you go up there, we started caucuses at 6:30 to 7 o'clock every morning. You go to meetings all day, and then you go to meetings all evening, and you have a lot of fun. You meet a lot of people. You think you accomplish things, and we did, but it was work. And worthwhile work.
Worthwhile work.
It's got to be done by people who are interested, in my opinion, in preserving the private practice of medicine in the United States.
Well, now, wasn't it 1 year that came along when the House of Delegates prevented the AMA from introducing some type of legislation?
We had several years of hard work in that regard. I was in a gang of people, of doctors, who really forced the AMA to call the one special meeting of the AMA, which was in, was it 65? Anyhow, 65, or 66, we had a special meeting of the AMA that was called rather hastily. got the number now, the number's larger now to call an expression meeting, but we had a meeting up in Chicago in which we were trying to prevent socialized medicine, to prevent the AMA from going along with anything the government was proposing, which would lead to socialization. And we succeeded at the time. It's been delaying action. I don't know how long we can delay it. Hopefully, for the other members of my family who are in medicine now, my son and son-in-law, but I don't know whether we can or not. My two sons.
John, do you think many of the younger physicians are really putting out much effort to try to do this, try to prevent?
I don't think they really understand what's going to happen if they get caught up in governmental control. Some of them think that it will work best. Some of them look up at Canada and think that's good. So I've been on a trip to England. I don't know what year that was. Anyhow, we went over there with some congressmen. It was about 6, 7, somewhere along there. And we went to England, and gee, I wouldn't want to be in that sort of medicine. We spent almost 2 weeks over there. We visited a lot of hospitals, and the practice of medicine there was just atrocious to me.
It was.
They just didn't have the equipment. It wasn't, the doctors didn't have the right ideas, didn't have the right desires, didn't want to take care of the patient, didn't do their best, except that most of them were sort of on a time schedule. They weren't going to be able to really help the patients much more if they worked longer, so they didn't. I'm not in favor of what they're doing over there. I can tell you that.
I can tell.
Well, you can tell, okay.
Now, when you were president, didn't some of you go up to Washington to visit the congressman?
Well, that was the start of it. And I can't remember who got the full credit for that, but we finally got a meeting and did something that a lot of states had done before. About 20 states, I think, that have annual meetings with Congress. They meet their own congressmen. Of course, we are a relatively small state. We have a relatively small number of congressmen. Everybody has the same number of senators. But we up there, and we had arranged that we, of course, paid for it from the State Association money, and it was well worth it. It's been going on ever since then. The people who head the SCMA now go up there every year, meet with the Congress, with our congressmen, go over the issues that we think are important. They visit some other areas in Washington, and I think this is probably one of the greatest things that's come for the State Association. I was looking back when I said that the first thing we got done, they asked us some tough questions, and we had some tough discussions up there, but it was worth it. You didn't make them believe everything that you believe, but you at least showed them that you were interested, that we were interested in improving the medical care in South Carolina and in working with the Congress to get what they could for the medical care, not just in South Carolina, but everywhere.
Well, do you remember some of the doctors who were really helpful to you over the years? I say not only during your state association presidency, but a little before and after along there.
Well, you know,
there's so many, I'm sure.
There's some giants in medical care. I jotted down a few names, but I can't remember where they are. But anyhow, you know, you look at I made an error in name or something, and there was a smirk on his face. Somebody snapped a picture of us. He was president, and I was vice president up there. And during the price who died just a couple of years ago, was a giant in the medical profession. Desi Gillen was active. Desi and I had an argument or two on a couple of things,
Yeah.
but you know, that's what makes the world
That's
go
what makes
round.
it good.
How do you get it going? And we still have, you look at all the young doctors that are up there working now, they're doing a good job. They have to. If they don't, we're going to get into more and more trouble. And then you have the people that were at the old Dr. Ken Lynch. He was not in the state association, but he influenced a lot of things that went on in medicine in South Carolina. And then Dr. Pratt Thomas and Bill McCord, and some of the others that have worked at the medical university have influenced medicine all over the whole state. There's no question about it. They still do.
Yeah.
Even though there's a second medical school, we still have the biggest one here.
Got the biggest one, huh?
Well, I think, I don't know whether this should go into this present page or not, but I think it's a mistake. This state is too small, too poor to afford two medical schools, because medical schools are quite expensive. And this was a political issue, as you know, for several years. And the people who had some control up there in Columbia wanted a medical school in Columbia. They got some medical school.
Now, John, I hate to tell you, but since Dr. Charlie Brown is behind this
He may-
project, he might edit this out.
If he edits it, that's all right. He can. It's my
I think
opinion.
we're just kidding.
And I think you agree probably, so I will act with you.
All right. So it's hard to say what was your major accomplishment during your tenure as state president, but I think we've covered most of the things. Do you think any one thing stands out as your highlight?
Well, you know, I had the misfortune to be, the fortune and misfortune to be president of the State Association when Carter was president. That was the time of that. And if we did anything to prevent going the way that Carter wanted us to go, which was institutionalized medicine completely, I think that was the biggest accomplishment. We stayed relatively free of government intrusion during that year. And it took continuous hard work at the state level and the AMA level. That's one of the things that I would consider the greatest accomplishment that we had at that time.
Well, we had a governor along and some of the people in the legislature helped us out
Oh,
considerably, didn't they?
well, I think they helped us out a great deal. Well, let me go back to one thing that I think really helped us in our relationship with the governor and with the legislature was the Doctor of the Day program. And you've been up there many times as a doctor of the day, and you know who to give credit to for the Doctor of the Day program. That's Strada Pope. He's the guy
Right.
who has run the show, and I was visiting him just a few weeks ago up there. And Strada Pope is the one who got that going and kept it going, and finally got us a room down there. And I think that has given the State Association a good deal of impetus, a good deal of influence up there. We've learned to meet those people, and they trust us a little bit more than they used to. I don't know whether they still don't. And I think we trust the ones that we've met up there and have gotten to know a good deal more. And it certainly has improved the course, having someone like Jim Edwards, who's now president of the medical university here, as I forget what year he was governor. But anyhow, having him up there, we've had several governors who have been we've been able to go up and talk to and get something out of. Of course, my first contact with the governor up there was Fritz Hollings. And Fritz is held a meeting up there when we were having some difficulty about who was going to be the next president of Medical University. And that was one of the impressions that at times that I was quite impressed with his stature in this state. But I guess that's aside from medicine, although that
It really isn't.
no, it really isn't, because there was a question as to who was going to be the next president of medical school. And he put his finger into that pie as much as anybody else, and I think a few of us had a little influence in that, although we didn't control it completely.
Sure.
But expected to.
Now, I think we've covered pretty well most of the issues, maybe not most of them.
Oh, you can't possibly call all.
No.
You know, I look back to the present pages and some of the things that I thought were important then. I don't even know what I was talking about. And there are a few things that you see that are going to continue with us. I think whether we can continue to get medical care out to the people who are in remote areas, that was always a problem. And yet I don't think anybody is more than about 20 minutes away from medical care. Do you think?
Not much further than that anymore.
In this state. And so we don't, aren't quite as concerned about that as we used to be. And I don't think that there's any reason for us to be that concerned about whether we get I think that there's a responsibility for the people to go and get some medical care. And that is one of the main problems we have. People, maybe we don't educate them to come and get medical care. But medical care is available. The cost of medical care, that's an issue, of course, that we have not solved. I've already mentioned that a little bit, and it's getting worse instead of better at the present time. I had it's been about a year and a half, 2 years, that one of my granddaughters got a hand cut on a piece of glass at a party. And she never even stayed in the hospital. The cost of going in and out was just horrendous.
It is.
And it's something we need to face, need to try to control. The part of it, of course, is the fact that the dollar is not worth quite as much as it used to be.
Well, that's one of the main issues facing medicine today, isn't it?
It's cost.
Cost.
And whether or not, and I think medicine has done tremendous things to decrease the cost. I mean, the in and out surgery, the things you could do without admitting a patient to the hospital, the care that you can give that will prevent having to go in for, and when you go in for a cancer of the colon or something, they're just in for 2 or 3 days now.
Right.
We used to keep that long, just get them ready to go to get operated. You're aware of that.
Sure. Yeah. Now, you think medicine's sort of headed in the right direction? What's your?
It's going to be interesting to
It's
watch. I don't know whether we are any closer to the danger of complete government control of medicine now than we were 30 years ago when I was really just getting into organized medicine. Things look pretty grim there. I mean, very better here than anywhere else. The reason it's better here, in my opinion, because we're not controlled completely, at least, by the government.
Okay. But now you sort of retired from practice, have you?
Well, I'm completely retired.
Completely retired now.
As of 2 years ago. That doesn't mean I'm not interested.
That's
in
right.
the country yet.
No.
As a matter of fact, I have an invitation. I still have an invitation to go to the AMA to the meetings, but I don't think I get to go this year yet. I do go to all the state association meetings, but they're right here.
Right here.
And I'll continue to go forever, I guess. As long. But I'm not too optimistic about whether we can control our own destiny as much as we have in the past. We can't, obviously can't as much as we have, but whether we can still point to Section 1801 of the Medicare Act that says that nothing in this act, I can't remember the exact word, I used to be able to quote it verbatim, nothing shall give the government power to take control of medical care.
Now, do you have any outside interests other than medicine?
Well, that family, I guess you could say, and some other. Well,
That family.
right now I'm not as much as I probably should. You know, if you're wrapped up in organized medicine, that takes just about all
That's
your
it.
time down to practice medicine. And I don't think that I've got any more time than I would had. And you know, there's some other things that right now I'm helping raise money for the rehab hospital in Norfolk. And you know, you've got to keep active in something that relates to medicine. I've never been a golfer. I used to play a little golf, but I've never been a golfer. You get too old for tennis, so you got to keep your mind on things that you want to do.
I don't see you jogging around the Battery anymore.
No, I don't jog around the Battery anymore. I don't think that'd be a very good idea for me, do you?
Probably not. Probably not. Well, do you have anything else you want to add to this that we haven't discussed? We mentioned your family and grandchildren.
I think that one of the things that the question, first of all, let me just say that I'm glad that one of my two sons who is in medicine is very active in organized medicine. And I think that if anybody is in medicine, they should at least be as active as possible in controlling their own destiny. If they don't, they've got no one to blame but themselves. If you don't go to county medical society meetings, if you don't go to the state meetings when time is available to you, especially since it's here, I think you've got no one to blame but yourself. You've got to do your share in trying to control your own destiny for the future.
All right, well, I think
we've covered about everything you told me we were going to cover.
We've covered about everything, and I want to thank you for this interview. Thank you for the State Association for what you've done, and I think from all physicians, from the present and future, you know, what you've done in medicine. And this will conclude our interview, but I've got to ask you one more thing. Would you do it all over again?
Oh, I would do some things differently. There's no question about that. But when I go into anything besides medicine, no, I wouldn't think about anything else. Am I glad that I went into surgery? Yes. What would I have done differently? Or there are a number of things along the line. But by and large, I think medicine is I mean, I've got two sons who are in medicine. They're as different as daylight and dark. One is very active in organized medicine, one's both good physicians, and I think that that's one reason that you must be a good profession. There are very few doctors who have sons that don't have one of their sons going to medicine. That says something for it, don't you think so?
I think so. John, thank you very much. Appreciate your
Good.
time, and want to thank